The cellar escape. The damp, musty air of the cellar clung to Anna's skin, seeping into her bones. She tugged at the chain shackled to her ankle, the cold metal biting into her flesh. Her heart pounded in her chest as she listened to the echoing footsteps above. The man would come soon, bringing her meager meal and a litany of cryptic warnings. Days blurred together in a haze of darkness and despair. The single bulb hanging from the ceiling flickered, casting eerie shadows that danced around the room. Anna's mind raced with thoughts of escape, each one more desperate than the last. She had to get out, to find help, to save herself from whatever twisted plans this man had for her. Her body ached from the cold, hard floor. The thin blanket he had provided did little to ward off the chill. Each night, as she curled up on the concrete, she dreamt of sunlight and freedom. But each morning, she awoke to the same grim reality. The door creaked open, and the man stepped inside. His face was obscured by shadows, his eyes glinting with an unreadable emotion. He set down a tray of food, the contents barely enough to keep her alive. "You must stay here," he said, his voice calm but firm. "It's for your own good." Anna's fear turned to anger. "Why are you doing this to me? What do you want?" The man sighed, his shoulders slumping as if bearing a great weight. "You wouldn't understand. It's not safe out there." She glared at him, her eyes burning with defiance. "You're lying. You're going to hurt me." He shook his head slowly, his expression one of sorrow. "I'm trying to protect you." With that, he turned and left, the door locking behind him. Anna's anger bubbled over, and she hurled the tray against the wall, the clatter echoing through the cellar. She had to escape, no matter the cost. Anna spent days studying the man's routines, noting when he came and went, and how long he stayed. She felt a spark of hope when she discovered a loose brick in the wall. Slowly, painstakingly, she worked to widen the gap, hiding her progress each time the man visited. One night, as the men slept upstairs, Anna made her move. She slipped the chain off her ankle, her skin raw and bleeding from her efforts. She crawled through the small hole she had created, emerging in a narrow passageway that led to a flight of stairs. Her heart raced as she ascended, each creak of the wood sending shivers down her spine. As she reached the top, she paused, listening for any sign of movement. The house was silent, the men still asleep. She crept through the rooms, searching for an exit. Finally, she found the front door, her fingers trembling as she turned the knob. The door swung open, and Anna bolted into the night. She ran through the yard and down the street, her bare feet pounding against the pavement. Her lungs burned, her body ached, but she didn't stop. She didn't look back. Anna's relief was short-lived. As she stumbled through the deserted town, she noticed the eerie silence. Windows were shattered, cars abandoned, and a sense of dread hung heavy in the air. Her breath caught in her throat as she saw them. Monsters, grotesque and terrifying, prowling the streets. She hid behind a car, watching in horror as the creatures tore through the town. Buildings crumbled under their assault, and the few remaining people were dragged screaming into the darkness. Her mind reeled, unable to comprehend the nightmare unfolding before her. Before she could gather her thoughts, Anna felt a hand clamp down on her shoulder. She screamed, whirling around to see the man, his face twisted in desperation. "Anna, you have to come back with me. Let me go." She shrieked, struggling against his grip. "Anna, you don't understand. The monsters. I'm not going back to that cellar," she cried, her voice breaking. With a sudden burst of strength, Anna wrenched herself free and darted away. But the man was relentless. He chased her through the ruined streets, his voice pleading and urgent. "Anna, please. You're not safe out here." Anna's flight came to an abrupt halt when she rounded a corner and found herself face to face with one of the creatures. It snarled, its eyes burning with malevolent hunger. Frozen in terror, she backed away right into the man's arms. He held her tightly, whispering, "I'm sorry, Anna. I'm so sorry." In that moment, Anna saw the truth in his eyes. The cellar, dark and grim as it was, had been her sanctuary from the horrors of the outside world. The man's warnings, once dismissed as the ramblings of a madman, now echoed with tragic clarity. The creature lunged at them, and the man pushed Anna behind him. "Run!" he shouted, fending off the beast with a makeshift weapon. "Get back to the cellar." Anna hesitated, torn between fear and the dawning realization of her mistake. The man's final words, "It's not safe out there," played over and over in her mind. With a last, desperate look at her protector, she turned and ran back towards the house. Anna reached the house, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and hope. She raced down the stairs to the cellar, the familiar dank air enveloping her like a twisted comfort. She slammed the door shut, bolting it from the inside. She sank to the floor, her body shaking. The man's sacrifice haunted her thoughts, his sorrowful eyes a constant reminder of her misjudgment. The cellar, once a prison, now felt like a fragile refuge, as the sounds of the monster's rampage echoed outside. Anna understood the cruel irony of her situation. The safety she had yearned for was now forever lost. She was adrift in a world overrun by horrors with no one to protect her. The bleak realization settled over her like a shroud. The cellar had been her haven, the man her unlikely guardian. Now, she was alone, facing a world far more terrifying than she had ever imagined. The story ended not with the triumph of escape, but with the harsh lesson that sometimes the cages we seek to break free from are the very things keeping us safe from the true horrors lurking outside.